Fairbairn, Fairbairn Protocol H2H. As I go through these different videos and such, we're trying to cover different aspects of combatives training that is very pertinent to the operation of actually performing violence in the street. The concepts that we deal with are sometimes vague in terms of how you would be doing them. Like, for example, a straight punch is a straight punch and you train for a straight punch. That's very mechanical. But when you start dealing with the different aspects of training that are more cerebral, more comprehension in terms of mindset and understanding, developing confidence, this type of thing, these become a little bit more abstract and a little harder to entail. But of course, they are mandatory elements that we have to have in place as we develop our program, as we develop our students, as we develop that final product, which is a person being able to take care of themselves in street violence or violence of that nature. Over the past few years, one of the terms that has come out that people are now starting to absorb quite readily is what they call subliminal training. Subliminal training, in a nutshell, basically means the things that you do when you're not training. The classic example, of course, is when you engage an opponent, you engage that opponent violently, you take care of the threat, you eradicate the threat, and then you step away from the violence. And so in a training mode, it's okay, fine, that's done, we stand back, we wait for Bob's turn to go in. And that allows us to start subliminally understanding the mode of activity at that time to be, once we finish engaging with an opponent, that we now go into relaxation mode and wait for life to be normal again. In actual fact, it's not, and we know there's many situations, different types of ambushes, follow-up potentials, multiple opponents, all these type of things come into that situation, second man in, where that fact is not true, that you're going to be going back to normality after you've taken the situation out, which is the violent encounter. Fine. This is something people are starting to get their head around. But we have to understand that subliminal occurs in many modes and in many different factors, and they all have their own effect upon the final outcome. Some of them are damaging. For example, I remember very clearly when I was boxing, working on the heavy bag. In the beginning, we work on the heavy bag, work on the heavy bag, work on the heavy bag. And after a while, your combinations start becoming quite crisp, and the shots are powerful. You can feel them dig the bag, and this type of thing. You start thinking that you're very good. You start believing that you have capabilities of a certain nature. And then the day comes and your coach says, okay, in the ring you go. And you go in the ring and you get your ass handed to you. The reason why is because your perception of what you're doing within front of that bag and your reality of what you're doing in the ring in front of a fellow who is also attempting to win is very different. So once you get your head around what's going on in there, your bag training changes and your mode of attitude changes in the environment of within the ring. Now this is the same thing within actual violent situations, be of any nature, be they military or whatever. You have to understand the capability of the enemy. If you look at yourself only, your vision internally starts to create a very good vision of your capabilities. But that has to be taken into effect with the understanding of their capabilities. If you have a good punch, they can have a good punch. If you have a good chin jab, they can have a good chin jab. If you can use ambush, they can use ambush. So all these type of things clarify the situation and turn you into an understanding of what to expect, what to encounter, what the actual enemy force will look like when you engage it. So this concept of I am great and you have no concept of anything else is one that has to be addressed in a very clear fashion, in a very strong fashion, so that we keep things perspective and we allow you to have real confidence over that situation, into that situation, undertaking that situation, as opposed to a liability of surprise or misunderstanding. One of the other skills that come into this very often is this concept of what type of training you're undertaking. I'm often confused by this concept of this is self-defense training. You're going to a martial arts school, but now they have a self-defense course on that in the school, in their method, in your own style. Okay, then what were you teaching me before? If I have to go on a special course for self-defense, then what was this other thing you were teaching me? And this is the differences in those worlds. In combatives world, very often, pure combatives, you'll see that every day is self-defense. There is no other factor. There is no other anything. But this goes down to concept of skills. And this is where the media and marketing and this type of thing and money has changed the mode of interest so that we understand things in a falsified concept. For example, If we look at a rape course, now if I was a woman, because we're going to use that example, the standard rape course being female, if I'm a woman and I have the capability to pound the crap out of somebody, does it matter if they're slapping me, attempting to pull my clothes off, or whatever, rob me? If I have that capability, I have that capability. It's not because it's a rape that I now have to use a different methodology of kicking his ass prior to before it was termed that. You know, this was the same situation we found with knife fighting. There used to be fighting with a knife, now there's knife fighting, and all these concepts come into it. But I fail to understand, if I'm fighting a guy that's 6'6" and mean as shit, and this guy's unarmed, any one of his shots could be very, very damaging to me. Put me out of the game, knock me out, put me into a lethal situation, punch me in the throat, break my neck, all these things, the lethality that could still be involved. Even a regular fighter aiming at the chin can miss and hit your throat. The lethality is there. So why would I be using methodologies that are different than removing this guy from the situation? My methods have to be such that I can finally take this man out of the game as fast as possible before he hits me with anything. There will be contacts. There isn't this risk involved. Nothing is clean. We don't have Superman tendencies or capabilities. But we have to understand that when we're dealing with aggression, we have to remove the aggression from the situation fast, hard. We can't be saying, okay, well, it's a this or it's a that, and we have to be modifying from plan B to plan A, and oh my goodness, it's a knife, I haven't been trained for knives, but now I'm fighting a big guy, but I need big guy training, and oh, I'm a woman and it's a big guy and a knife. Oh, yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. The actual fact is that you have to learn how to be taking care of aggression under all its forms in one format, so that when you hit the game, you come out with your best right away and everything is normal. Normalization of the violence, so that you understand that your capabilities are omnidirectional. It's not put on plan B or plan A. Plan A takes care of everything. We stop the big guy from power driving our face. We stop the knife from entering our zone. We stop the person from embodying us in some type of constraint in order to cause us to do things that are against our will. So again, this perception of recognized skills becomes subliminal. As we're fed this through the media, through our schools and different things, saying that all these things, we start to believe that we have capabilities in A but not B. And therefore, if we encounter B, my God, what am I going to do? I'm a trained fighter, I'm very, very good at UFC style fighting, but I meet a knife, what am I going to do? Complication. So the situation, I haven't had that course, oh no, what am I going to do? So the situation is one where we have to be mitigated all the time with concepts of validity and universality, where our concept of ability is reflecting that and our understanding of our enemy. So we understand the enemy and we have that concept in mind, and we've been trained to understand the reality of ourselves and the reality of the opponent. One of the things that comes into this again, and this is very pumped by media stuff, is the Superman scenario. The Superman scenario is where you're going to learn X, Y, Z, and then you're going to go into a combative situation, and you're going to kick a man in the leg, and he's going to go down, he's done. You're going to go in and, devastate this guy in multiple manners that we show, hold and make them submit, make them think that they've made a wrong decision. They don't ever do this. They don't. People don't think that way. True violent people, they're violent. That's it, that's all. They just want to be violent. They do their violence in a manner they've been trained to through their own experience or even through formal training. It doesn't come out in that way of these movie scenarios. So, as in a movie where you see a guy shot and he flies back, 20 feet, this doesn't happen in real life. When a man's shot, it doesn't reflect that way. There's not a lot of body movement. The situation of hitting people and boom, boom, they're knocked out is very devastating. Wonderful, but it's not very realistic. The concepts of these things, this is why we talk about in Fairbairn Protocol, H2H, of fighting the opponent who can't be beat, beating the opponent who can't be beaten. And one of the major ways of doing this is continuation. We do not ever expect that we're going to do a very dynamite move, well-proven move, and it's going to get us the result we need immediately and conclusively. We're always prepared, always ready to deliver the next shot, to finish their shot. We have a joke that we don't stop unless they drop. And the concept behind that is understanding the reality of securing a zone. The reality of secondary attack, the reality of all these things. So once that we have endured the situation, whatever it is, we've applied our training, which has been the same for all those variations I spoke to earlier, knife, gun, size, values, this type of thing, different training styles. We have that in the concept from day one. It's important. And then once you have these things in concept, that peripheral of subliminal training starts to diminish, and what remains is training in a subliminal fashion that supports the real point, which is our ability to support ourselves in a violent encounter. Unrealistic outcomes, knife, size, not part of the picture in terms of having to constantly reevaluate these at a moment. You don't have a moment to reevaluate them. In the same token, we look at our skills, and we have to have that realistic value of our skills. Once we do that, we understand everything, then we bring it together with the technique. And then now you start applying the technique with confidence. So peripheral training, fantastic. Yes, if it's understood and done in the right fashion and addresses all the various things. It's difficult to fit in, but that's why you have instructors. Thank you very much for your time. Barry Drennan, Fairbairn Protocol H2H. Have a great day.